Hey, how you doing? This is RJ. Today I wanted to do another video which is sort of an appendix to my hero series that I did last week and talk about why it is dangerous to allow SJWs to stay in control of this comic industry and to stay in control of what young people see as a hero, especially in our comic book industry, because there are plenty of reasons to get rid of SJWs, some of them being fairly light, some of them being that, they can't write a good story, some of them being that they are destroying our industry. But there is a separate reason as well, and it is simply that these kinds of people are dangerous and the kinds of ideas that they produce are dangerous. And I'm not being dramatic. This is the way that it is. These people are producing dangerous ideas and are feeding them to children. And you can see in the news, I can see in the news by just random stories that you might pick up on the news, that children today, school-age children, are being fed identity politics and that they think of it as normal. And identity politics is a dangerous, dangerous idea. And SJWs are the ones that are promoting these kinds of ideas. And they are the useful idiots, as I always say, of socialists and communists. And these are dangerous ideas because, of course, the whole thing about socialism and communism is that, if you look at the material, like the base material that they work off of, that's readily available anywhere, socialism is supposed to lead into communism. And communism in their ideology is supposed to be inevitable. The overthrow of capitalism and the institution of socialism, which then leads to communism, is in their minds inevitable. It will inevitably happen, but they don't want to wait for it to happen. They want to make sure that it happens as soon as possible, and that's where the idea of revolution comes in. Because they know, in their minds anyways, in their, we'll call it, I don't know, I might even call it a theology, if you could call it that, but they institute these ideas into the minds of people as if they were a religion, almost. That's why I'm always calling these people cultist-like people. But they institute these ideas in their minds, and they know that according to their ideology, the overthrow of capitalism is necessary and it's going to happen no matter what. And it's going to be violent. They know that because it's going to be an overthrow of capitalism, that capitalism will not sit by idly and allow itself to be overturned. So, of necessity, this is violence that they are seeing in our future, and they want to bring it about. And that's why they are trying to foster division and hatred and violence through all of their separate small little ideologies that lead up to this revolution. Because that's what identity politics, as a small subsection of socialist communism, is trying to do. It's trying to divide people. It's trying to bring hatred into their lives. It's trying to institute violence so that they will spark this revolution. That's what they're trying to do. And that is a dangerous, dangerous concept. You can look at it in practice over the last, we'll say even 50 years. You look at somebody like Saul Alinsky, who declared himself to be a communist. And he went around the United States with his ideas of community organizing. He went around saying that he was going to organize communities, and disenfranchised people. He was going to bring them to a new and better place by giving them their own voice and organizing them according to his ideology, which was basically communism, which he stated, right? And the thing was that if you look separately, if you just take a step back and look at it historically and look at the numbers and all of these communities that he went into to actually organize, quote unquote, all he did was rile people up, make them emotional, and then cause violence. And all of these communities that he went into to, quote unquote, organize just became worse at the end of the day. And it was made worse through violence and hatred, which he fostered. and which, by the way, guess who was the actual protege of Saul Alinsky? That was Hillary Clinton, just to let you know. Anyways, so these are the kinds of things that identity politics do. And why I'm talking about this is because SJW comic heroes, as I'm always saying, are not actually characters. SJWs don't write characters. They write ideas in a mask. So what they do is they focus on some part of the identity of their characters, and they push that identity so that it is fostering ideas of identity politics in the minds of people who don't know what exactly is going on in these stories. And I would include, for the most part, younger people, because I say that's who they are targeting. That's why they want the comic book industry. That's who they are targeting with their stories, with their characters. So I want to take a couple of examples of this. One older example and two newer examples. That is to say, one older hero and two newer heroes. And the first one I would take is the older hero would be Luke Cage. Now, everybody is familiar with Luke Cage, pretty much because he's been, on Netflix, and everybody sort of knows who he is now. But Luke Cage has been around for a while, and as a comic book reader, I never really liked Luke Cage that much because, back in the time when I read him, he would say things like "Sweet Christmas," and, he got paired up with Iron Fist, who I'd rather see Iron Fist by himself and all that. But I never really liked him that much. But still, he was a good, flushed out character at the very least. I mean, he was his own character. But today, if you look at his books, he is reduced from a character to one characteristic, one trait, and that's that he's black, and that's it. And all they're focusing on is that he is black, and they separate him from the other characters by being black. And they do this with a number of characters, but certainly with him, he would be, I would say, one of their top tier of separate him from the rest of the characters because he is black and only black. And that's all that you want the people to focus on. That's all you want the characters, or the readers of these characters, to focus on, and that's it. And that's a dangerous idea. I mean, that is at its core a idea of segregation. That's what it is. They are resegregating people. And why do they want to resegregate people? Well, of course, they want to resegregate people because they want to take everybody and put them in their own little category so that they become tribal, and these tribes will eventually fight with each other, and violence will ensue, and their revolution will be sparked. This is quite simply what they're trying to do, these SJWs, the useful idiots of socialists and communists. This is one of the ways why they're dangerous. Now, that's a very simple example. We'll go on to a little more complex and disturbing example, if you ask me, and that would be Gabby from, Honey Badger from X-23. Now, I did a video on one of the X-23 comics. I think it was the #1 just about a month ago or so, 2 months ago maybe. And the thing is that Gabby, they reduce her to the idea of female. Female at this point, that's what she is reduced to. And she is also, to some extent, being reduced to her sexual identity. And that's just starting to come out. But she's reduced to these ideas. And you can really see it in the character because she's not written as a character that makes any sense whatsoever, because she's supposed to be this girl of a certain age, say, I don't know, 10, 11, maybe 12, and she doesn't act like such a character at all. No one who actually, has any contact with a kid of this age would actually see this as being a person at all. This is not a reflection of an actual person. But the thing is that they reduce these characters, especially Gabby, to their character traits that they're trying to push through identity politics. That's all they do. And then that story becomes somewhat dangerous. Why? Because if you look at it, and I did look at it before in one of my reviews, if you look at it, what are the characters in this book doing to Gabby? Well, they're taking this kid, this roughly 10-year-old kid who actually has a mindset that's pretty much younger, I would say, like 8 years old, and they're taking her into battle. And they got no problem taking her into battle. And it's just part of her life, they seem to think, even though there is a school right there for gifted youngsters in order to get them out of this kind of life. What they're doing is they're making Gabby into a child soldier. And this is disturbing because, again, in reducing her to her character traits, they don't see her as a child. They see her as female. So they negate all the other ideas in their mind about what the character actually is. They don't make her human. And they're making her a child soldier, which, as I said in my review of X-23, that's a war crime. Quite literally, that is a war crime. And so they're getting it into the minds of young people that it's okay to do such things, that having child soldiers is fine. You know, that's the kind of mindset that's going in to the minds of younger people when they have characters that they're not actually fleshing out and allowing them to be an actual person. And I can see this happening in other genres as well, in both television and books, that they're taking characters and they're focusing on one aspect of them so much that they're turning them into child soldiers, and they're making ideas that child soldiers are okay kind of just every day in fiction. And it's disturbing. It's really, really disturbing. But it's not the most disturbing one. The third one that I wanted to look at, I think, is the most disturbing. And the third one I want to look at is Kamala Khan, Miss Marvel. Now, I find this character to be extremely disturbing because they focus on a couple of her traits, which are the fact that she's brown and that she's a Muslim. Now, the thing is that she's reduced to these character traits, and they don't flesh out the actual character at all. They don't take into account the reality of the character and try to bring it out in the story. And the thing is that I can see in the future, if this has not already happened somewhere, that some girl, some poor Muslim girl, is going to get killed because of this character. Because, I mean, I live right now in Canada, and there are stories in the news. This is not me being whatever-phobic. This is me looking at the news. I mean, over the last couple of years, I think it's about 3 years, there has been at least 2 stories. One story where this father he killed his 2 daughters. It was an honor killing. This is in Canada. He got their brother to help, if I remember correctly. I'll try to dig up the news story and put the link in the description for these to show you that I'm not making this up. And it was an honor killing. He killed his 2 daughters. And there was another one just last year where the police stopped the mother and the father from killing their daughter because they were going to commit an honor killing on this girl in Canada because these girls wanted to wear Western clothes and wanted to act like Western girls. But Kamala Khan in these books, you know, she's going to her imam and talking to her imam about trying to have a boyfriend and wondering if she should kiss him and all of these other things. And he's being very nice to her and patting her on the head and telling her, you know, this is okay and this is fine. This would not fly in just normal reality. If some girl picks this up and thinks that she can do this in her normal everyday life, if some young Muslim girl thinks that she can do this in her normal everyday life, sure, there might be some girls out there that can do that. But there are some girls out there who, if they try to do that, they will end up like these other girls who have been killed by their parents because they want to be Western. And the thing is that this doesn't enter into the mind whatsoever of these SJWs because, of course, number one, they are reducing this girl just to these 2 character traits. And there is no reflection of reality at all there. And not only is there any reflection of reality, but even if there were a reflection of reality, at the base, they're trying to promote identity politics, and division and hatred and violence is part of what they're trying to do, is part of what they're trying to bring about. So this violence that will, I would say, happen to this poor girl in the future because she's reading Kamala Khan books and thinks that she can be just like her, is their purpose, because they want there to be violence and division and hatred. So this is the danger of allowing SJWs to control our comic industry, and it is severe. It is something that needs to be dealt with. And I know it's going to take a long time to deal with it, that you're not routing these people anytime soon, but we need to start, and we need to make sure that the pressure is constantly on them, that we try and get rid of them at every turn as much as possible. Anyway, this is a little bit of a heavier video, but if I gave you anything new to think about, hit like, hit subscribe, leave a comment. If you don't like this video, leave a comment and let me know. And I will certainly take all of your comments into consideration. I always do. But hit like, hit subscribe, and I will have a bit of a lighter topic next time when I get to talk to you again. All right. I'll see you later. Bye.